So, hi everybody, my name is Maren, and my session will be a bit shorter and a bit more theoretical, no more code for me. And my session is called Why Less is More for Mobile Apps, in brackets, and not necessarily so on the desktop. So, yeah, who am I? My name is Maren and I write for several technical blogs, mostly about mobile development. And also, I write books, and sometimes I consult and develop, so it's all a big mix-up of different activities. But long story short, I've worked on several applications for mobile in the last few years, and they all had to do with geo-information. So I had a little bit of revelation about the user experience on the mobile, and I just wanted to talk to you about it today. The talk is going to start with 3 slides on how do maps evolve, in my point of view, how I see it, and how the purpose of the desktop and the mobile experience is different. And in the end, we'll ask you to optimize your mobile experience. So let's start it. Yeah, so it all became with paper maps, right? So the very old paper maps, they have only the very, very important stuff on them, like mountains and lakes and dragons and so on. And then as people noted more information about the world around us, we started to put more and more stuff on this single sheet of paper. And yeah, on the right you can see the present day paper map. You can see that there's so much information on the world outside that actually needs special skills to read this back, because it's all clamped on this one sheet of paper. And that's kind of crazy. And then, of course, computer came, and we transferred all this knowledge to the computer. And we had this one plane which is full of geo-information. And that actually is an actual screenshot. I was doing a day tour of Berlin with one of my friends. And my tour is there. This is the red line over there. But as I was looking at this, I was like, what the hell is like? I didn't need this. I didn't need where all the farmers are in Berlin. I just wanted to see my tour. And so I started to feel like actually it's overwhelmed and I didn't really need this, and actually nobody needed so much information. But still on the desktop is okay, because you have powerful UIs and a lot of checkboxes and so on, so you can disable layers and still make your way around all the information that we have. But actually if we move to the next step, then when maps came to mobile, on the left you will see the same map just actually splashed on a mobile device, and you can see that that's really not so good, because it's too much. And on the right you can actually see the Eventbrite application, and that's the event screen for GeoMonday the 2nd, this event. And you can see that that's also not so good, not because it's overwhelming, but because there is no information on this map. Because the mobile device knew that I'm in Berlin, and the app knew that the event is in Berlin. Instead of showing me relevant information for myself, it chose to show me a map of Europe. So you can be wrong both ways, yeah? There could be too much and there could be too little. So I worked on several applications, and in the end, I felt like the most important thing about creating mobile experiences that you have to your application, your map needs to make an informed approach to the user, because, well, the mobile device knows who you are, meaning who the user is, and where are you, and when are you, and since you already picked up the phone and opened a certain application, then it already knows probably what you want to do right now. Therefore, you can offer a much better user experience to the user, instead of either slapping on a pane everything you know about the world, or nothing, and then the user needs to discover everything. And so, yeah, most of the applications, they're focused on solving a problem, or as in my chart, step 1, you want the lollipop. Step 2, you use a geo-cautious and informed application. It tells you where the nearest store is. Step 3, you have a wallet. So that's how it should go, and because you're on the go, you need to have the fastest and the most leanest experience with this. Therefore, you don't want to know about all the stores, you want to know only about the stores that have a lollipop and that can fit into your workflow when you're outside on the traffic light also. And so since I designed several applications that have to do with geo-information, I just wanted to talk to you about how I approach the user experience for these applications and how to serve basically geo-information to the users. I imagine the user experience as a space. It's a multi-dimensional space. And for example, it's super simplistically put here in a pane like that. And on the two axes, they have latitude and longitude, so that could be a map with many locations. And some of them will be interesting for a user, and some of them will not be. And therefore, I start to design the user experience by adding dimensions to this single pane, like this. There's 2 dimensions, 2 axes that are the location of venues, and then there will be a next dimension. The third axis will be the lollipop axis. So the lollipop axis will span from no lollipops to yes lollipops, and therefore you can really guide the user through this experience. He will come for the lollipop, and he will see on this map then where the locations that offer this, what they want. So you won't really show all the stores you know about, but only the ones that are relevant for your user. And just want to demonstrate this with a couple of more examples. For example, I helped launching it's a Berlin startup. It's called Data App, and they offer a flat rate coffee, and you pay once in a month, and you get all the coffee you want throughout the month. And they also have, of course, maps in the app, because you need to find these venues where you can get a free coffee. It's pretty similar. So the user experience is then the same. You have the geo information which the user wants. They want the direction to the venue, and they come through this axis where it says free coffee. And it's basically the same example as before. Some locations around you will have a free coffee for you and some not. But the user experience in their app, of course, includes a 4th dimension, that's the time. So, for example, right now it's past 7 p.m., so most coffee venues won't really be open. And therefore, the data will be different now and tomorrow morning and during the weekend. So, when you design the user experience like this in a multi-dimensional space, then you can basically guide the user for the hand throughout this experience. So you will take it by the hand and say, hey, right now it's 7 p.m. because the mobile device does that. And therefore you will discard all the venues that are not open right now, because all this data is actually attached also in this space to the locations. So you will show them only the venues that are open right now, and only the venues that the user can claim free coffee. And then they will reach the location, this point in the city where they can grab a coffee. And then you can give them directions and so on. And this can be, like this approach can be by adding these dimensions to the user experience, can be taken even further. That's another Berlin startup and that I helped launching their app, Beat Guide. They have a guide to the events in Berlin and other cities for electronic music. And they start with the same thing that I spoke so far. They have locations in the city, latitude and longitude, and they have also venues where music events happen. But they also add different other dimensions to this user experience, which are, for example, music style and the music events. So, of course, users will see only the events that are happening right now or will happen, didn't happen already. But of course, if you slide the user experience towards a time axis, you can see also what happened in the future, what will happen in the future, what happened in the past. And actually, they're adding even more dimensions to this, but this then will become very difficult to draw. For example, they have a dimension called SoundCloud, because they actually connect to SoundCloud. And then by combining this data, you can make amazing things like you can play the user the music that will more or less play in 2 days' time at a certain location. So all of this comes together to really give you directions to something that will happen in the future, and you already can start experiencing right now. So adding these dimensions really adds a lot of lot of Shazam to the user experience. And so to wrap up, just wanted to point that yeah, the desktop is something that you will use at home or on a conference, and maybe you do your exploring experience with maps on the desktop. For example, you plan a trip in advance and so you can still overwhelm the user if you want to, but of course within reason. And the mobile is a different experience. There you need to really have a user experience, guided user experience through the interaction with the map and to bring the users to the data that they want to find. And yeah, in my final slide, actually, back to paper. It's another startup from Berlin. They're called Awesome Maps. And basically they say, yeah, well, everybody loves wall maps in Germany and other countries, but they became very boring. So they are also adding another dimension to these wall maps. Of course, on paper you can maybe add one more dimension to the user experience, but for example, this is a surfing map. So they have not only the location, the names of the countries and the territories, but they have also the surfing conditions. And that's really something that you can put on the wall and be really interesting for your visitors and so on. Basically, what I would like to ask you is, yes, maps are awesome, but the mobile experience is different, so try to really fit it into the user experience, because users probably cannot consume as much info as you can give them at any given time. And that was everything that I could fit in 10 minutes. Yes, Q&A.